Hey, hey! Welcome to Generation Rise, the podcast with Marcus Bell. Thank you so much, Rise family, for coming in and checking me out today. Listen, Rise family, over the last few podcasts that I've put out, we have been in a bit of a series. In my last podcast, Praise, I kind of dubbed it the P's to Purpose, the P's to Destiny series that we're in right now. And it started off when I introduced the 4 P's: prepare, position, prove, and propel. Then we talked about patience being infused in each one of those elements. Then we talked about how you have to deal with pain and persevere through the pain. We spoke about having the right perspective. And in my last podcast, we talked about praise and how you have to give praise to receive praise. And in this, my final installment of this P's to Purpose, P's to Destiny, and I may even change the title of this series by the time I'm done with this message, but in this installment, we're going to talk about minding your P's and Q's. Now, when I was growing up, this is something that I heard quite often, is be on your P's and Q's. And that essentially meant mind your manners, be on your best behavior, make sure you're paying attention to details, things of that sort. But in my mind, in this particular series, minding your P's and Q's means something a little bit different. So first, I am going to start with the Q's part of this. And in the Q's part, there are 2 Q words that I want to focus on. The first word is questions. So as you go through the process and the journey of pursuing your destiny, of pursuing your greatness, of pursuing your success, of pursuing your purpose, you need to ask questions along the way. Now, this is questions, you need to ask yourself questions about how you can do better, how you can be better, what you can do to prepare better, what you can do to position yourself better. Yes, you need to ask yourself questions along the way to make sure that you're doing a continuous self-assessment to make sure you're pulling the best out of yourself. But even more than asking yourself questions, you need to ask questions to other people. Ask questions to people that are in positions where you kind of envision yourself going. Ask questions to business owners. Ask questions to entrepreneurs. Ask questions to CEOs. Ask questions to pastors. Ask questions to anybody that can give you additional information, give you additional insight into your business, where you want to go, but just in life in general. Okay, so when you ask questions, you learn history, you learn about how people got started in doing things and how they progressed. You learn things of what to do and what not to do. You show that you're interested. You open up the door to build relationships. And the reality in this world is that relationships are the keys to most of the doors that you want to have open. Your relationship with God is the key to open up your spiritual reality. But in the natural sense, your relationships with people is what's going to open up key doors to get you to where you want to go. Something that I've learned over time, it's not always about what you know. A lot of times it's about who you know. And if you can build the right relationships, and if you can build the trust in a relationship to show that you can be trusted and they can trust you, then those relationships will have a monumental impact on where you go and what you do. So in your questions, you want to make sure that you're being inquisitive, but don't be too personal, right? The other Q word that I want to throw in there is quiet. So when you're asking questions, you also have to learn to be quiet so that you can listen to what you're being told. So every conversation that you have is not about you. Sometimes you have to listen and be quiet and allow people to talk so that they can guide you and direct you, so that they can give you the history, so that they can give you the information. Do not make the conversation about you. Do not always try to interject and say, hey, I have a similar story or I have a similar background. Sometimes you just need to be quiet, listen, learn, absorb information. And when you're being quiet and you're showing that you're genuinely interested in a person, then you'll begin to build that trust. You'll be able to build that relationship and strengthen that bond. And then people will want to help you. People will go out of their way to help you. People will go out of their way and connect you with other people that can be links in the chain to help you get to your greatness, help you get to your destiny, help you to get to your purpose. So those are the cues that I wanted to talk about. I want to talk about you asking questions and then also being quiet. There is strength in the quiet places, believe it or not. Now let's get to the P's. The P part of my P's and Q's is that I want you to learn to rest in power. To rest in power. Now that's going to mean different things to different people. But even before I get to that, let me stop by saying when I say rest, I do not mean to stop. Rest does not mean to stop. You are still going to have to do everything continuously to get to where you want to go. So even as you rest, you're going to have to continue to prepare. You're going to have to continue to position yourself. You're going to have to work to prove yourself. You're going to have to get to that point where you get propelled forward. You're going to continue to have to exercise patience. You're going to continue to experience pain and have to persevere through it. You're going to have to continue to have the right perspective so that you can recognize the opportunities and the things that you're going through. And you're going to have to continue to give out praise in the process. So when I say rest in power, it doesn't mean stop doing anything. It means that you are going to have to get to the point when you have done all that you can and continue to do. When you've done all that is in your control, then you rest in the power that is gained from knowing that you've given your best effort, that you've done all that you can do. Now, like I said, it's going to mean something a little bit different for everybody. So for me and where I am in my personal journey, resting in power means that I rest in God. I rest in our Lord and Savior and know that with Him, He will continue to work on the things that I cannot see. He will continue to work on the things that are happening beneath the surface in me. He will continue to position me and position people around me so that when it's my time to go to the next level, I will be ready for it. Resting in power for me in my journey is knowing that my God is my provider. He is my protector. So I will not want for anything. That doesn't mean that I'm going to always be comfortable. That doesn't mean that everything is going to be the way that I have it scripted out in my head. That does not mean that it's going to be the way that I even imagined or wanted it to be. But when I get to the point where I'm able to rest in power, that lets me know that I have done all the things that I can do in my power, in my control, to get me to where I want to go. And from that point on, it's up to God to move the puzzle pieces to a certain extent so that it makes the picture that He wants to see. Okay? So it's still going to be very difficult to get to where you want to go. And I can tell you, it is very difficult to rest in power. However, once you get to that point of resting in power, you will gain a peace that's beyond even your own understanding. Okay? Now, so that's for me and my journey. Now, for other people who may not have that spiritual relationship, who may not have that kind of spiritual connection, it may mean just knowing that you are at peace with knowing that you've done your very best. My father told me one time, right after I lost in a wrestling match, and I was kind of mad and distraught, and I was having a very hard time in getting over it and getting past it. He says that you are a leader on this team. And as a leader on this team, just like they cheered you on, you have to get up and you have to go cheer them on and lead them, even in your defeat. But he also said that he asked me a question. He asked me, did you do your very best? And I looked and I thought about it and I said, yes, but I came up short. And he said, well, if you've done your very best, then nobody can be mad at you. If you've given your best effort, then you can wake up and you can look yourself in the mirror and know that you have done your best and you just came up short that time. That means you have to go back and you have to work harder. But you can walk away knowing that I can look myself in the mirror, that I can face myself and know that I did my best, that I did not give up. I just came up short. It's just a setback so that I can be propelled forward. Okay? So if you've done all that you can do, if you've done everything that you can control, if you've prepared, you've positioned, you've proven yourself, you've worked to be propelled forward, you've exercised patience, you've kept the right perspective, you've endured the pain and persevered through it, you've given the praise, then at that point you have to rest in the power that you've done all that you can do, and now it's just up for the right time to meet up with the right opportunity so that you can get to the purpose that you have, for the destiny that you have, for the success and for the greatness that you have. Now, as you're at this point of resting in power, like I said, you will be given a peace, but you want to know what will disturb that rest, what will disturb that peace? What will disturb all of that will be when you start to worry, when you start to stress about how things aren't coming together, when you start to look around and compare yourself to what other people have, what other people are doing. Rest in the fact that knowing that what is for you will be for you in your due time. What is for somebody else may be for right now. But what you should be building for is for the longevity, is for the long term. There are some people that are shot out of a cannon right off the bat and they take off. But all of those people don't have the longevity to survive and let them last for the duration of their life or for long periods of time. That sprint may be for a year or 2 years, maybe even 5 years. But there's so much more to life than 5 years down the road for most people. People are living until they're 80, 90 years old. What we should be building for is an impact and an influence that stands the test of time. That isn't just for right now. That isn't just for giving me a bunch of money right now, but to build that wealth, that establish that generational wealth that lasts beyond yourself, that goes not just for you, but for your children, for your children's children's children. Build a institution that impacts people beyond just yourself, just beyond just your individual circle. When you rest in power, resting in power will breed a confidence. It will radiate an energy around you, radiate a light around you. It will give you a peace, and it will force people to want to be connected to you, to want to understand how you got what you got. It may not be the money that you have, but how do you have the energy? How do you have the peace? How do you have the joy within yourself, even when everything else may be looking crazy and going on crazy around you? Rest in power. So I've been watching this series on Netflix. I think it's called like The Coach's Corner or something like that, but it has interviews with a bunch of different head coaches from different sports teams and leagues. There's one by Doc Rivers. And I recently watched one with Dawn Staley, who is a women's basketball coach, who's the head coach of the University of South Carolina. And she said something that really stuck with me, kind of struck a chord with me, and it stuck with me. And it's actually something that she heard that stuck with her over the course of her life. And what she said that she was told one time, or what she read one time, was that what is delayed is not denied. What is delayed is not denied. And as she put it in the context of her journey and her story, Dawn Staley is from Philly. She was a basketball player, and she went on to get a scholarship and play at the University of Virginia. And as a player at the University of Virginia, she was doing great things. They made it to the national championship game. And when they got to the national championship game, they lost. They came up short, right? And she was very hurt by that loss. And after she left the national championship game and she left college, she went on and she played overseas. She's a great Olympic sports person. She has gold medals from the women's U.S. basketball team. She played in the WNBA. And then after a playing career, she moved into coaching. And now she's at the University of South Carolina. And in the past couple of years ago, she has built that program up, and they're a national power. And I don't know if it was last year or the year before last, but sometime in the last couple of years, she went back to the national championship game. Not as a player, but this time as a coach of young women who were preparing for the national championship game. And she actually won the national championship as a coach. So she was still able to get her national championship. She was still able to reach that pinnacle on the college level, but instead of doing it as a coach, as a player, she did it as a coach. So her national championship was not denied, it was just delayed for another time. It was delayed to a point where she would be able to share her wisdom, share her knowledge with a group of young women that she coaches, and then be able to motivate them, encourage them, empower them to go out and do something that she wasn't able to do as a player herself. So what is delayed is not denied. So whatever it is in your journey that you have not gotten yet does not mean that you won't get it. It may just be delayed for the right time, the right place, the right opportunity, so that you can be prepared for it, that you will be able to appreciate it, that you will be able to use it to continue to propel you forward to your purpose, your destiny, your greatness. Listen, Rise family, I know that the year of 2020 has been a difficult one. But as we move into the new year of 2021, don't look back on 2021 and, everybody says it's the worst year ever. There is plenty of growth that happened in 2020. There were plenty of seeds that were planted in 2020. And if you do all the things that you're supposed to do, you put in the work, you prepare, you position yourself, you prove yourself, you propel, exercise patience, persevere through the pain, have the right perspective, give praise, and rest in power. What I can guarantee you is that the fruits that you've sown over 2020 will begin to bear fruit in 2021. But you have to go through the process to get through to the progress. Thank you so much, Rise family, for your support in this podcast and the things that I've been doing and working towards. I pray that this podcast and the things that I'm doing continues to grow and continues to resonate within my young people, within my Rise family and beyond. Please reach out to me if you have any questions, concerns, things that you'd like me to touch on. I do appreciate all of your feedback, all of your support. You can reach out to me on my email at bell.riseent@gmail.com, Twitter @riseent and the number 1, on Instagram, The Rise Generation, YouTube, Generation Rise. You can reach out and check out my company website at therisegeneration.org. We're doing a lot of great things with the Rise Generation, and we would love for you guys to be a part of it, to donate into the life that we're trying to sow into the youth and young people. Listen, Rise family, thank you so much for all of the love and support that you've given this podcast since I've started it, and I look forward to the great things that will be produced out of it in 2021. Thank you so much, Rise family. God bless you. I love you. Now go be great.